Hey guys, welcome to a Chief Concerns draft special. This is our preview to day 2 of second and third rounds, and also taking a look back at our first round pick last night. So obviously on our Chief Concerns channel last night, we talked about it. We reacted to Xavier Worthy coming to Kansas City. Obviously, we've had about 12 hours to kind of digest this, see all the tweets, all the video clippings, all the takes out there of Xavier Worthy in Kansas City. Brett Veach and Andy Reid, they all talked about it at a press conference last night. But 12 hours later, how are you guys feeling about Xavier Worthy on this Friday?
How do I feel? About the same, maybe even a little bit more satisfied, to be honest with you. Just for the simple fact that the Chiefs got the guy that they wanted. I think this is going to be a great thing for the Chiefs. And the reality is he's the exact piece that the Chiefs have always coveted. They've always wanted a fast guy. You got the fastest guy now who's ever run the 40 wearing a Chiefs uniform for the best quarterback in football to throw the ball to him. And so they do that well. They do that well. And so Andy's going to utilize, a lot of versatility, creativity to get the ball in his hands. And some of the things he did down there in Texas, as far as like some of the wide receiver screens, some double moves, getting in and out of breaks, I think that's his forte. And so the Chiefs, man, they're just going to capitalize on that. And so now with Hollywood Brown right there beside him, I've said this on Twitter, man, it's going to look like the 100, 200 Olympics trials. It's going to look like a track meet out there, man. I'm telling you. And I can't wait to see this football, how it's going to flow around for the season.
Teja, your thoughts 12 hours later?
Haven't really changed that much, really. I mean, I'm not going to go by, I think some people get so carried away in some of the takes out there, but I love his comps. I love what he brings. He's Deshaun Jackson, Mike Wallace, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Ted Ginn, everything we want. And for this season and possibly beyond is what he brings. So we don't know how long Hollywood Brown's going to be here. He's got blazing speed. His drops are overrated. He had a broken hand for some of those drops. I think we can all give him a break on that. Does a lot more things than run deep. He's a pretty good route runner, more than people give him credit for. He tracks really well. He's not dead on contact, even though he weighs 168 or whatever he weighs. He does try to run through it. His issues are noted. It's mostly to his size. He gets bumped off routes pretty easily because he is small and he's not a good contestant catcher. Shocker. He doesn't do the hand fighting that well. He's not going to go up and fly up in the air and grab it over 3 guys. It's not his game. He's not really a contested catcher, not really a go up and get it guy. He's more like a run by everyone and catch it guy.
I think I saw Brett Veach say that having Hollywood and Xavier Worthy is going to make life easier for Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce in the middle of the field.
Well, I mean, that's really the point, right? I mean, that's what we want. We have a tight end who's getting up in age, who's still good, still the best in football, but we want to take a little bit of pressure off his shoulders. And so what you do around it is put some speed around him, and let him roam around there instead of getting double and the triple team. And so now defenses can't sit there and say, hey, we're just going to tee off on Travis Kelce every time he runs out there. Well, no, now you got guys you had to worry about. I think Teja said this last night, is that they were saying when they play Texas, you got to account for Xavier Worthy where he is on the field every time, each and every time. And so what the Chiefs do the most of, do better than anybody else, is they move guys. We motion guys. And so it's all about matchups. It's all about numbers with Andy. So he does a tremendous job of sitting guys in zones, right? Getting open. And that's what he'll do. He'll just scheme it up. He'll scheme it up. Let me give you something that I was kind of looking at last night. And I've known this for a long time. But I know this is kind of like one of the measurables that everybody talks about, kind of in like fantasy football, but I know they use it, kind of, in the real scheme of things. But average depth of target, okay? Average depth of target. We're sitting over here. Who had the lowest last year in the entire league? Rashid Rice. We had a guy that we brought in as our pick who was only getting 5.4 yards, I think 5.4 or 5.2 yards on the average depth of target. So we're not pushing the ball down the field. We're just not. So people can be upset with this pick. They can, right? You could be incensed about it all you want to be. But the reality is, and I said this, and I'm going to share it on Twitter, our thing last night is, we're just not looking for the big body guys. This is a smaller man's offense. We're trying to get the ball in the playmaker's hands as soon as possible. So whether it be wide receiver screens, slants, hitches, curls, that's what it's going to be, right? We do the whole coming in motion and come back out better than anybody else and score touchdowns. We've seen that time and time again. And defenses just cannot figure it out. They can't, because we give the defense so much to look at that they're confused. They're confused.
Yeah.
So when we're sitting there average depth of target, what we seen last night, what Xavier Worthy does and the catches he made, wide receiver screens, slants, couple of in routes.
Yeah.
That's what he was known for. So you could be upset, but I'll tell you what you do, okay? If you're upset with this pick, I'm going to tell you what you do, okay? Go ahead, write you a nice little note, all right, or a text message or whatever you need to do. Put it on a pigeon, send it to Arrowhead Stadium, okay, or GHE Field or wherever you need to do, okay? Put a note and post it on Andy Reid's his desk, all right? And tell Andy Reid you want to change the offense to fit your needs, all right? That's what you do. Or either that or you get into coaching yourself, all right? Get up the ranks and take over the Chiefs as the head coach, because this is what we do offensively. Bottom line, that's the reality of it. So you can be upset all you want to. Call Andy Reid, tell him we don't want the Super Bowls, because this is what we've been winning with. That's the reality of it, man. So
I think the fast combine time actually hurt him to a certain degree. I mean, it helped him, but it also put him in this cliche of, oh, the fastest guy never becomes good. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it helped him a lot because it got him like on everyone's radar to be like, whoa, this guy is fast. But at the same time, people were like, oh, he's fast, but what are the last couple guys that were the fastest guy at the combine do? So I think it helped and hurt. And I think it gave a lot of reason for people to put a lot of hate on him. But he's not just a deep threat. So I think that separates him from a lot of guys that did run that fast, really fast 40 time. He does a lot of things really well. He's a monster with the ball in his hands, not in the fact that he's stiff-arming guys like T.O. out there, but he just runs right around people and he knows how to move with the ball. So I think it's up to the team that drafts players to, especially when you get past the top 10 guys, for the most part, stick them in most teams, they're going to succeed. They're just that good. That's why they're top 10 players. After that, you get guys that are tailor-made for your offense, so you think who can excel on your team.
absolutely.
We took a guy that we're like, hey, we're not going to sit out there and put him on a number one island against the top cornerbacks who are just going to mug him at the line. We're going to move this guy everywhere. We have other guys on our team that other DBs are going to be focusing on. Kelsey, Rice, Brown. This guy's going to draw the number 3 to 4 cover man. We're going to move him around and put him in situations to excel. That's why I think it'll work for us. We're not just some team being like, let's just draft the fastest guy and put him on end and let him just run, verticals all day long. That's not what we're doing here. So,
right. And to have a guy that has been productive over his years in college is different from getting a guy just for 1 year and now you have the best quarterback who can ball in his hands. Totally different thing. And so it tells you that's such a great point because, oh, man, look at all the fast guys. They haven't done anything in the NFL. Well, shoot, maybe we got that it does. Okay. How about that? How about you look at it optimistically and say, well shoot, now we really got a burner. Who can catch a lot of footballs? Who has produced in the past? Now he's got a real quarterback with him, and I don't know. I haven't watched Texas football. I don't even know who the quarterback was. I know they had a guy, a couple of years ago, but who's the quarterback down there in Texas? I'm sure he's pretty good.
Ewers, he's going to be a first round pick, they say, next year.
Okay, good. He ain't Patrick Mahomes, so that's all I'm saying. All right, like I said, he's a good quarterback, but the things that they did well, I was looking at some of the route schemes, how they did down there in Texas, and he could take a lot of that to utilize it. I mean, I don't know if you're salivating looking at the film. When I started looking at the film a little bit more last night, because I had him, he wasn't necessarily on my draft board. Like I never mocked him as a first round guy. I just didn't. But it makes sense. It makes sense when you know, like you said, you know what the offense is, and you fit him into your scheme. He is without a doubt 100% of what the Chiefs need, what they've always wanted, and so they got the guy, man. This is not a mistake. This is not the panic pick. I think everybody's using. Oh, this is a panic pick. Why? Why is this a panic pick? If you look, we had McCole Hardman, we had Tyreek Hill, we had Kadarius Toney, we got Hollywood Brown. Let's start looking at the guys we got. Look at their body makeup. So we got John Ross. we got Ross here for a little bit. I don't know. Did he really sign? I don't know. I never seen him. So they said we got him.
Yeah, we had him. We had him during training camp.
Yeah. So hey, now we got to catch a football, right?
For someone's durable question, he played 39 games in college. I don't think he played with a broken hand. He played through it. He played through a foot injury too. I don't think he missed many games at all.
No, I think I read that he did not. He played all 13 games in the 3 years he was in college.
Yeah, so, for being so small.
Yeah, and then Devontae Smith's a great example. We just brought him up last night. That guy who's small, even tinier than Xavier Worthy. He hasn't missed a beat in the NFL. A lot of people thought that was going to be a problem for him. He hasn't missed a beat in the NFL. So
Deshaun Jackson, who played for like a million years.
Yeah, who's still trying to play on teams.
Yeah, who's still probably faster than most of the league. So
he did a video and was talking about he emulates Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah,
he said I always try to copy everything he does. I'm like, oh really? Well, shoot, Andy Dim just sniffed that out too, and so that bodes well. We got a Deshaun Jackson in our ranks now. Come on, man. Yeah. How you not going to be upset with something like that? So my thing is, like you said, the durability. Yeah, we know he's a little thin, but we've seen smaller guys. Devontae Smith, he's been able to do what he's doing up there. Williams up there in Detroit, right? He's a guy that is a smaller, thinner guy in his frame. These guys know how to protect themselves, okay? They've been playing with their body for a long time. So that's what you got to realize. Like, guys understand, I'm not going to take a hit over the middle. Patrick ain't, he's not going to put you in a position to get hit. My nephew we talked last night because I told him, I said, man, you gave it a D rating F. He said, no. He said, look, I like him. He's a huge Packers fan. I always talk about it. He said, but look, he said, JD, he said, you think about it. He said, back in the day, you had to worry about running over the middle. That's over now. You don't have to worry about getting hit like you did back in the past. I'm like, that, you know what? That's a good point. That's a great point. Now these little guys don't have to worry about getting crushed and stuff like that. Defenses had to worry about how they're tackling guys, right? And how they're hitting them. So we'll have a little bit of protection there. But I think he's a tough dude. Man. You got to like this pick. If you don't, hey, man, call in to Andy. Call Andy. All right.
Also, I want to lastly say, guys in the late 20s have question marks. Like, so pointing out flaws they have, it doesn't make you observant. It makes it's just obvious. Like, they have flaws. If he was 185 pounds, ran a 4.2 40 and caught 1,200 yards, he'd be a top 10 pick. Okay. It's because he has question marks. It's because he's a little small or he's not great at contested catches. That's the reason why you get him at this point. Otherwise, he'd be long gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, the contrarian will still have something to say about it. They'll still say, oh, well, yeah, I know he's 4'2", 185 pounds, man. But is he really that good? Okay. So just some people just not going to be satisfied, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, man.
Prospects go top 10.
Right. Just, hey, be happy with it. The offense is going to look awesome this year. It's going to be a lot of flying around, making plays. These dudes are going to be hitting their heads on the goalposts, man. That's what we wanted. Last year we talked about MVS. Okay, yeah, it could go deep, but now he's not the deep ball threat. Defense wasn't really worried about what we was going to do. Now you got two legitimate guys, and then we get Rice back. That's three.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, man, look, take some time, relax, let it sink in. Okay, the Chiefs got exactly the guy that they wanted, and you're going to be happy when they're striking the band up every time he's getting pay dirt. So y'all be easy with it.
JD, there's two things I want to cover before we move on to tonight's draft and who's the available prospects. But one thing that no one's really talking about is the fact that this is going to help out our running game tremendously. And Chase Benjamin here brings up our inside receivers will have a field day and Pacheco will have a career year while everyone is backed up. I mean, this is probably, since Pacheco's been there, talk about the amount of weapons that we have on the outsides. This is like 2 years in, this is the most amount of weapons he's had on the outsides. People can't, people aren't going to be able to stack the box against us. They're going to have to play our guys on the outside and actually worry about them. We talk about fear, putting fear in defenses.
Yeah.
And that's what we have now with Hollywood, with Xavier Worthy, Rice, Kelsey. I mean, that's fear in the back end. So now it's going to open up some holes and lanes for Pacheco, even more so. So how do you think this is going to impact our running game, having a guy like this?
Well, obviously, you're not going to be able to load the box up. Anytime you're thinking about bringing the safety down into that, we're going up top. They'll see it immediately and hope Patrick audibles to something else, right? Or gives a signal like, hey, okay, extra guy down, okay? And you come to a little bit too shallow in what you're doing defensively, we're going to exploit it. And so now you have potential two guys stretches the defense. That's what you have. And when you have anything like that, and the offensive line is probably one of the best, like getting their hands on people and just blocking. He's just gonna thrive. He's just gonna absolutely thrive. But also too, man, when you're sitting there looking at this defensively, when you have that type of speed, like we talk about, just not Pacheco, but also Travis Kelsey, benefiting offense as well. But Pacheco, without a doubt, man, he's just going to get better. This is his third year. So he's just going to be a better back anyway. His vision going to be a whole lot better. Like I said, when you're moving guys out and you're talking about speed, those linebackers are going to have to retreat immediately. The corner's going to have to retreat immediately. So you're relatively taking almost 7 out of the box every time. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at a 5-man front. If you don't, then we're going to kill you over the top or behind you. So good point, man. Great point.
And then lastly, I wanted to dispel this notion. I've seen this being talked about a lot online. Okay, so a lot of people are comparing Xavier Worthy to John Ross because he had a fast 40 time, and that's two of the fastest 40 times in combine history. So I put the three years up here. So you got the 3 years that John Ross had at Washington on the bottom, and then 3 years that Xavier Worthy had at Texas. People are saying he had 1 year production at Texas. I mean, that's 1,769.81. John Ross had 1 year production, 300 and 208 yards before his the final year there. So for people to say that, it's ridiculous. I mean, every year that Xavier Worthy was there, not only did he produce numbers at the combine and his test well, he had 3 years of productivity, and that's something that we talk about on our show as being a red flag or whatnot when guys only have 1 year, but we wanted a guy who actually showed consistency and also showed amazing numbers in the combine. Well, we have him here, and that's Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, 360 catch plus seasons, man. That's no joke.
No, come on, that's great production for the number of games that you're playing. So this is definitely no comparison whatsoever. This is a guy who has legitimate hands, can make legitimate plays. Touchdowns too. I mean, you've seen he's scoring all plays. So I have I told you last night my concern was about his hands, right? They had ranking on hands and whatnot, but he's going to be fine. The Chiefs are going to utilize getting him open, right? That's what's going to happen. They're not going to put him in a position that he's not going to be able to succeed. It's going to be complete opposite, right? But yeah, this comparison with John Ross is a bad comparison. It really is. Yeah. So I get it. Right, I get it because this has to be the talking point. This has got to be the argument. But like I said before, if we got the guy who's actually producing, catching the ball, right? We see it right here. This is the guy that you want. You want this guy. This guy right here is better than John Ross. Immediately see this. Just stat-wise, he's better than him. So you can hoop and holler all you want to, man. Just hey, let it go. Let's see what we're gonna get with our regular other picks. Okay, in this draft going forward.
Exactly. Yeah,
this is good.
And his lowest yardage output was the year he had a broken hand, by the way.
Oh, year 2, 760.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that tells you we have guys on this team who play with torn labrums. Now we got a guy who played through a broken hand. We got some tough guys on this team, JD.
Yeah. No, well, shoot, you had to be tough playing in the NFL. Because when they pay you the money, they're gonna make sure you when you're out there. Hey, ain't no more of that. Like, I'm gonna sit now. This ain't college. You ain't down in Texas anymore. This you ain't a Longhorn. You a Chief right now. So you gotta get out there, and they gonna make sure you're gonna get ready. So he'll be ready though. I have no questions whatsoever on his durability. I don't. So.
All right. So now we're going to get to day 2, guys. So obviously offensive tackle, still a need for us. And we saw those guys went very, 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 very fast in this draft. It pretty much went wide receiver, tackle, and then some receivers, but that's pretty much, or not, quarterback, wide receiver, and a lot of tackles in this draft. So that seems like the approach. And Brett Veach even said the way it was going, they wanted to tackle that spot. But the guys they wanted, they deemed first-round talent were all gone. So they went with the other guy they wanted, and which was Xavier Worthy. So based on the guys who are out there still, and we have, since we traded our third-round pick last night, we only have one pick going into tonight. So hopefully they do make some moves to get back in to get another third-round pick. But as of right now, we only have the 64th pick tonight. I think we're going to go back in. That's my hope, I guess, wishful thinking. But what do you guys think about who we need to target tonight? Is there any players in particular that you're looking at, or any positions that you're looking at with the 64th pick tonight?
So I think I've been on board. Y'all know this, for a defensive tackle, somebody that can complement Chris Jones. And somebody made a good point about it. Is if Chris Jones get nicked up, what is it going to do to our defense? We got a $33 million man on the other side, and we don't want to keep him double teamed. We don't want him to keep getting beat up all the time. So you need a guy beside him who's going to be an absolute monster. Okay.
Yep.
We haven't really put a whole lot of money in stock into the guys that we have beside him right now. 1-year deals, the guys that's been a little bit older, put him beside him. Get a stud out there. And there's a few studs that I see right now. The defensive tackles are still out there, right? So I think this second round, what we're going to see this coming up, a lot of defensive tackles coming off the board, a lot of defensive tackles. But for us, this will be an absolute need, a necessity. So I do believe for myself, okay, hopefully for the Chiefs, they see defense win championships, right? We show that. They did a tremendous job. We get a guy who could get after the football like Chris Jones is to be well. So, yeah, Jazon from Illinois. You got Jenkins. You got my man Fisk down there at Florida State. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of dudes out here, man. There's a lot of dudes out here. So get somebody, man, that compliments Chris Jones. That's at least for me. That's what I look at.
I think the value is D-tackle right now. And I thought we were going to go Newton for Illinois last night. I was like, you know what? Go get him. He was not supposed to be at our pick last night. The fact that he's still out there is actually kind of wild to me. But the value right now in this draft is D-tackle right now. And I agree, JD. I think the D-tackles a big-time defensive tackle run tonight.
Yeah. Well, you had it. Well, real quick before you go, Teja, you always had to protect your best interest, right? Your money is in your quarterback. So teams is like, we got to get offensive line. That's what we need. We can't go out here and Joe Burrow got hurt. They had $125 million on the sideline last year. Quarterbacks that was hurt. 60 quarterbacks played last year. Can you believe that? 60 started. That's crazy. That's crazy. Go ahead.
So before I get into who I like, I want to get into the trade because the worst part about the Worthy pick for me was the trading of the third-round pick. We went back to the fourth, so we didn't just give up a pick. We just traded back. So I would love us to trade back into the third round because of the value. I think Veach even alluded to this too. Most of the value of this draft is from rounds 2 to 4. After that, steep drop. We have a second. We have 2 fourths. We have 2 fifths. An extra third next year. So I was looking into the draft trade value charts. The Tennessee third is worth about 152 points. Our 173rd fifth round pick is worth about 22 points. It's 174. For reference, the 84th pick in the third round would be 170. So we could probably trade the Tennessee third next year and one of our fifths to get back into the mid-ish late third. Another option would be, which I saw today, someone said trade back from our 64th and maybe get like a seventh and our 64th to get like 2 late thirds. Either way, and there are a few teams that have 2 mid-late thirds. Pitt has 84 and 98, Green Bay 88 and 91, Rams 83 and 99, and Tampa Bay has 89 and 92. So there are a lot of teams that actually have 2 picks in that 80-90 range that we can make this happen with, especially if someone wants to bank on Tennessee being terrible next year, which is not a bad bet. Obviously, we'd have to play the Super Bowl winner tax so we'd have to give a little more value, but I think it's worth it to get back in the third round. As far as prospects for day 2, I'm looking at, JD said it, D-line. I'm looking at linebacker, and I'm looking at O-line. Fisk is not going to be there, so we can forget that, unfortunately. Going back to Ruke Orororo, Michael Hall, Leonard Taylor. And then if you can, I know Sweat is a popular name. I just saw him come up. I've been reading and seeing that he's going to slip to the 4th because of what happened with him, the troubles. So, maybe that's someone we try to see if we can get in the 4th instead. That'd be amazing value. So those are my main guys, mostly for versatility. I think Ruke, Michael, and Leonard can all go to be a very, very versatile D lineman, play at D end, play at D tackle. I like Chris Jenkins too. I just don't think he's going to be there unless we trade up. I mean, we do have ammo to trade up in this second as well, but that costs a little more. Linebacker is not blanket for me. It's only if someone with really good value falls. I saw in one mock draft for the second and third rounds, what's his name? Peyton Wilson falling to 64. That'd be great value. He was slated to be possibly an early second, late first pick at one point, but they say because of age, he might slip a little bit. And then if we're going late third, maybe someone like Cedric Gray or Trotter Jr. And then tackles, I don't think Kingsley or Paul are going to be there at 64. Maybe, you never know. But with the way tackles are flying off, I doubt it. So Kieran out of Yale, possibly at 64. Brandon Coleman out of TCU, I've seen is a very popular pick. If you want to see maybe Javon Foster's there in the 4th, if we miss out on one, so don't get discouraged if we do miss out on a guy in the second and third round. There are some good potential high ceiling tackles in the 4th. And then guards, you got BB, huge fan. Obviously, I talked about him a lot over this whole period. Mahogany out of BC. And then if they're enamored enough and they think the injury's not going to be a problem, you can go Zinter, but I've heard he also maybe slides to the 4th. There is value at DB as well, so I wouldn't be shocked because obviously we're going by value and need. Bullock and Kitchens at safety. There are a lot of cornerbacks that fit what we need, so I think we wait till the 4th to do that.
Or later, just based on our history.
Yeah, we have 2 fifths, so.
What are you guys' possibilities? I see Chris Cavender is in the chat says another receiver would be nice. I know we talked about still getting another guy. When do you think that would happen? Do you think that's gonna be more of a day 3 thing, or do you think that there's a chance that happens tonight?
If it's a guy that they want, that they've been looking at, they'll snatch him up. I think the Chiefs really have a system and a method down on guys they want to get on their board. And for us, it's a little frustrating because we name all these guys, but the Chiefs have been looking at them over the months and saying, these are our guys on the draft board, what we're looking at. So it could be, the best wide receiver if he's available to go get him, especially now. The guy at Yale, Karan and Emagaje or whatever his name is, right? Since he was hurt, they were talking about he's still healing up right now. He could come in a training camp and without a doubt, challenge Wanya Morris. He is another guy like Def Peeps that he's going to be a good tackle. I mean, he graded out at almost 90% last year for what he did. So he's 6'5", 318. Said he got, twinkle toes. He can move his feet. He got a great punch. Thing is, he just got hurt. That was his thing. So he might be able to slip down what we were talking about, maybe that 3rd or 4th round, maybe get him a little bit later on. But another wide receiver coming off the board for us is not it. I think we're looking for a guy like that. I like the linebackers, what you were talking about. Tej. Trotter would be amazing getting here. We got Trotter here. And so we had to think about the things that what did the Chiefs want to do? You know, yeah, we understand Bolton is coming up. Can we pay Bolton? Right? Yep. This is a business. And so they start looking at guys like, hey, look, you know, we got to pay him, you know, $20 million, whatever it is. Maybe look to unload it. Maybe we can't pay a guy like this, right? And so, yeah. So the Chiefs they're going to try to save money. And when they can find guys who could do something relatively close to what you can do for a cheaper price, that's the route they can definitely go, man. It's a business. I understand it fully well for playing in it for a long time. So, yeah, I think when you're talking about maybe like corners and all those different things, I think it's maybe a day 3 guy. Okay. Veach does a great job of getting those guys later on. And we know Spags and those dudes will get them ready. We don't have to worry about that. If the guys got what they want, they'll pull those guys in. There was the safety at a Wake Forest. Can't think of it right now, but I think we have a safety that is a need also too, because Reed gonna come up, right? What are you gonna do with him? Okay, and he's another depth piece that you might be looking for as well.
Yeah, Malik Mustafa is the guy you're talking about.
Mustafa, how forget Mustafa, right?
Yeah.
Mustafa.
Yeah, in your mock draft, you had Malik Washington and you had Malik Mustafa. So I remember both the Maliks.
Yeah, Junior Colson's also a bad asset in Michigan for linebacker. One of his player comps was actually Nick Bolton.
Okay.
So I don't think he'll last till 64, but you never know. And we could always trade up. So if we see a guy, if we're like, we talk to Bolton's people, it's going to be way too expensive. If we could trade up and get a young Bolton on the cheap for 4 years, maybe we do it. So who knows? We do have 2 fourths. We have 2 fifths. We have 2 thirds next year. So we do have ammo to go up if we want.
Yeah. And look, there's another thing too. But I think we got depth pieces here. I see Kelsey's name on here. Are they willing to go get a tight end? Would that shock you to go get another guy? I know we got Irv, you know, we got Noah, but is it out of the realm of possibility saying, hey, let's go get one of these tight ends? And so we haven't really seen any tight end come off the board except the guy that I wanted. That's the only tight end we've seen so far. So we'll look and see, man.
Yeah, I was looking at our top 30 visits and trying to see who's still available. So it looks like kind of what Veach alluded to, the rounds 2 to 4 guys, and it looks like most of those guys we're looking at are in that range. As far as D tackle wise, Michael Hall Jr. still there. Christian Boyd from Northern Iowa still out there. Tavondre Sweat, as we mentioned, is out there still. Jawan Briggs, DT from Cincinnati. I think he's more of a day 3 guy. Then offensive tackle wise, there's a Travis Glover from Georgia State, Caden Wallace, tackle from Penn State, Javon Foster from Missouri. So, and those are like all like four rounds 3 through 4 kind of guys. So like they could be tomorrow. I mean, based on, and also Kingsley too, but I think that's going to be more of a today or second round pick.
Mm-hmm. Kingsley goes early, I think. All the teams that wanted to tackle that missed out, they're gonna probably pull the trigger on that.
Yeah. Do you think it's gonna be a big receiver splash today? Like I know a lot of guys we talk about, Jalen Polk's still out there. There's a lot of receivers still out there. I mean,
Coleman, Polk, Franklin, Baker, Corley, Tez Walker. I'm missing guys.
McConsley from Georgia,
McConkey, McMillan.
Yeah.
I know I'm missing somebody too. Oh, Mitchell. There's a lot. That's 9 off the top of my head, and not counting any kind of, guy that some team just loves that we haven't even mentioned yet. So we're talking about anywhere from like 8 to 12 receivers possibly this round.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that could push defensive tackle even further down. I mean, I've never seen a first round like that the way it went last night, where there was like no defensive players taken, and it didn't happen until like the pick 20. That's when we really saw defensive players going off the board. And I mean, it could be it could go one or two ways. The teams that went all offense in that first round can go maybe start going defense in this beginning of this draft and the second round, or you still see the receivers come off the board, kind of like how it was going in that round. Because there's a lot. The value right now, as I see it, is DT and receiver still. That's where the DT and wide receiver right now, looking at this draft board, that's where the value lies right now, DT and wide receiver right now.
Oh, yeah, no question. No question. I've always said this. I said, with your tackles, after the first three guys, it's going to be a project getting those guys ready. And so you've seen that. You've seen teams go ahead and get the guys that they wanted for tackle. For us, it's always going to be a question. But I do think defensive tackles should be, that's my estimation. They don't have to listen to nothing I'm saying. Shoot. Hey, look, I don't get paid to talk about this. I'm not in the war room. But if you're listening to me, if you're out there, Veach, go defensive tackle. Go get your guy. We're going to get some wide receivers later on because the boatload of them still available. So to get into our offense.
Part of the reason why 60 quarterbacks played last year is because the offensive tackle wasn't that good on a lot of these teams, right? So, we don't want to be the 61st with the most important guy on the sidelines of Mahomes. Then we need maybe if Wanye is the guy standing between the sideline and Mahomes, then we need to do something about that, whether it's drafting somebody. I don't know if a second or third round tackle is the answer anyway, right? I'm not counting on Kieran from Yale coming up and being the protector of Mahomes' life next year. So I think even if we do draft someone these next two rounds or third or Chip Foster in the fourth or something, I think we're still going veteran tackle at this point, right?
Thomas Smith will be back in the next few days.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But I do like the dude from Yale. I think because he was up there like top 5 until he got hurt. When he got hurt, his stock just dropped. Right? Nobody wants to come in with a guy who's already coming to training camp looking that's hurt. But if you stock him, you bring Donovan Smith back and you get this young tackle in, let him get healthy, and then you say, well, shoot, now he's ready. He's got all the measurables, man. And like I said, he graded out at 90% last year. Before that, it was 73.5, 65.2. He can do it all, run and pass block. So incredible.
JD, we were talking about on one of our shows about difficulty of opponent, because we talked about Patrick Paul, the Houston tackle, versus I don't know what was Guyton from Oklahoma, and you were just saying that if it was between the two, you said that the margin's so different, but it's so minimal as far as the other guy being better than the other one, that you were going more so with the guy who's playing against more difficult opponents.
Sure,
like the Oklahoma guy. Now talking about Yale Ivy League, they don't play anybody up there. Now is that something that you're like, that's not a second round guy for me, it's more of a third round guy or fourth round guy for you?
So what I was going off of, I was going off what the scouts were talking about, how good he was athletically. Like, he's still growing. They were talking about how good his feet is, his punch. Can he make a transition? And a lot of people were saying, they were talking about how good he was. And that is a valid point. I do believe, Yale, you're going against more Wall Street guys than anybody else that on the other side of it, right? And so, when you're thinking about dealing with somebody who is going into a different business, then you got to question, well, who are you actually going against? But a guy like this, like I said, if you get him, like you said, third round, or you stockpile him and let him adjust for that year, that's what you want. Because we were talking about athleticism. And I made this point on Twitter. Look, we can go all in on athleticism and versatility, okay? But how good is going to be good enough? Because if you keep using a guy with musical chairs around, he's not going to be great at something that he's only good at because you keep moving him around. This guy is a left tackle. He's a left tackle. He's not going anywhere else. This is what he plays, okay? And when they sit there, we're talking about his ability, what he's been doing for the past couple of years, they say this dude right here is ready. I mean, that's what they were talking about. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at what they have been saying about this guy over the number of years. So he just got hurt, man. He just got hurt. He might be one of those sneaky, questions like we did Trey Smith, right? Trey Smith was, the medical guy. It's like, nobody wants to take a shot on him. And then all of a sudden we got him, and then Trey Smith's a starter. So I look at it almost like, Karan being that same type of guy. Nobody wants to take a shot for him. Well, let the Chiefs get him. We need tackle. We need him all over the place. We need a left tackle. He could be that guy. Get Devontae Smith home. You still got Wanye, but you get this guy. He could be your guy for the future, right? So
all you can do is play against the guy in front of you. So, his tape looked good and his measurables are there, and he's got all the tools to succeed in the NFL. So, and we have great coaching, right? All over the field. So rely on that. And if your coaching staff thinks that they can bring him up and be that guy, then okay, let's do it.
Yep. So obviously, well, I guess we're still in the same mindset here, guys, that stay in the trenches, either go best DT available, best OT available. And if their guy is there, a receiver, go get him too. But so it seems that we're sticking with the DT and the OT going into tonight.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch.
Or guard in the third round.
Yeah. O-line, sticking in the trenches, D-line, O-line.
Yeah.
But the value's there at D tackle. So Veach, let's go get a partner in crime for Chris Jones.
Well, like they said, man, in Veach we trust. I said in Veach we trust, and even more in Andy.
Yeah.
Because nothing goes through without going through Andy. That's the reality of it. So we can talk about Veach, but hey, Andy is the one that's saying yes, no. Andy's gonna get the guy, and he trusts those guys. They do a good job up there anyway with the Chiefs. We're still looking at the three-peat. We got a good core group of guys with us anyway. And so when you got the best in the business on offense and defense, we're going to still look pretty good, man. We're just adding on to what we got. That's all we're doing. So be happy about it. Don't get tearing the paper and, oh, my God, what we doing and who we getting and hitting your head on the microphone, man. Chill out. Shoot. Enjoy the ride, man. Enjoy the ride. So
enjoy the ride. Yeah. It's this weekend comes around once a year, guys, so enjoy it while it's here. Enjoy the picks. But yeah, well, that does it for us, guys. We'll see you guys tonight on our YouTube channel, Chief Concerns, with myself. In the middle there is Jason Dunn, former Chiefs tight end. And on the right, my brother, Teja Dash, will be back on our channel, Chief Concerns on YouTube at the conclusion of the draft tonight. So whether that be midnight, maybe 11:30, I don't know. And then we'll be back on Bleacher Report Sunday for grades. And we'll be back on our Chief Concerns channel tomorrow doing rounds 4 through 7. But that'll do it for us, guys. Love you guys, and we'll see you guys tonight.
Love you, fellas. Love you out there.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.